Smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
We are back. For the first time in 62 years, the Florida Memorial Lions will hit the gridiron, and their home games will be streamed by the Black College Sports Network at www.fmuathletics.com, www.mybcsn.net, and on the MyBCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavill, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to Random Thoughts with DVP. Today is the 23rd of September 2020. This is Random Thoughts with DVP. I am the host, DVP, and I got a couple of great guests with me as we're going to talk about police and politics. But before that, let me just give y'all a couple of things to think about when we're going out through this day and through the year. According to my crack team of my management team, because we quick to forget things, 65 years ago, Emmett Till's people were found innocent. Let's not forget that as we're going through some of the things that we're going to talk about today. We love to throw up Emmett Till's name, but we don't do a lot of things in remembrance of. So let's just keep that going. We also know that the election is coming up. And again, I'm not going to tell y'all who to vote for. I got who I'm going to vote for. And if you got questions, feel free to ask me why. I will give you some things. Everybody got their own set of facts, but facts are facts. And everybody will tell you their opinion. One of the things that you have to do when you're going to intelligently debate somebody is facts help. Because even the worst of people do good things. And if you denounce things or say they ain't true and people can come back and make them be true, then it kind of negates your whole argument because you don't want to deal with facts either. Factually speaking, I cannot say that 45 has not done a few good things. But factually speaking, I can say serial killers are charming too. So all I'm saying is don't sit back and say he hasn't done anything when in truth he has done some things. Just not enough to negate, in my mind, the evilness and the narcissism that he brings. But this is one man's opinion. I get in trouble when I denounce certain people because I'm supposed to be color friendly to black people, which is funny to me because I think Candace Owen got uninvited from the picnic. Herman became before he died. They were all black people. So who gets to decide what black people I can or cannot disassociate myself with? I do. So with that being said, I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I got some people on there who like to bring a lot of great fire and they ask questions and they don't let me get away with being slack. So I want to talk more about, as I told y'all before, I got 22 years in law enforcement. I did my time in the military. So there are some things I have an intimate knowledge of. As a cop, I was that guy. There wasn't a whole lot I didn't know about. Search warrants being one of my specialties. I taught that throughout the state. I got some guests here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And then what we're going to talk about is police and politics. And the main reason I got these guests is, as I said before, there are times I can tell you things, but if I don't know what your real question is, it's almost like I'm talking to people who know what I'm talking about. So I need regular people to ask me questions so I can explain some of the misconceptions or even where we're failing ourselves and we're being bamboozled by civil rights leaders. We're being bamboozled by attorneys. We're being bamboozled by elected officials who will tell us what we want to hear because we don't know what we're looking for. So a couple of the guys I got, they bring in smoke. So if a couple of sweat beads come out, don't sweat it. We still cool and everything gonna be respectful. But they ask questions that need to be asked, and if I got the answer, I'm gonna give it to them. If I don't, at some point we're gonna figure out what it is. So with that being said, I'm gonna let my first guest introduce himself. We're gonna do this because y'all know I got a pettiness with brothers with hair, so I'm gonna let him introduce himself last. I'm gonna let the brother with no hair because we're on the same team. Introduce yourself for me, Chief. Tell them who you are and where you're from.
Hey, my name is Jermaine. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. Currently reside in South Carolina, Aiken, South Carolina. Uh, yeah, just of you invite me on the show and chop it up and kind of give people some good information, maybe maybe stuff they do know, but from a different perspective.
That's what's up. My shit started extraordinary. Tell them who you are and what you got for me.
You talking about Jermaine? You talk about me.
I'm talking about you.
I ain't the shit starter.
Go ahead. Tell them who you are, what you got.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? My name's Fu. Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. Been living in Douglasville, Georgia now for a little over 9 years. And I'm that regular dude, but I'm that regular dude that's not afraid to speak his mind. I don't give a fuck. And unlike a lot of these people out here, I have been knowledgeable about politics since 2000. The only reason why I remember it, because I remember the class I was in college when it happened. And it's when that election got stolen. So I don't just come with the BS. I make sure that I come with not only my opinion, but I also come with receipts.
That's what's up. And one of the first things I want to talk about is one of the things I've been telling people. One of the biggest problems that we have, and we are going to always have, is that the laws are so different from state to state, and there is no standardization. There are things that are illegal in Georgia that aren't illegal in Jersey or New York, or they fall under a different name, or they got a different set of circumstances. And when people get upset, and when people inbox me and they ask me what I think about something, I always tell them I got to get back with them because I need to go research the laws of that state. I can't apply Georgia law to another state. And let me just say this, because I got these brothers here and I know they come in with it. Search warrants. Search warrants are what they are. Search warrants are used to violate your Fourth Amendment rights. There's a purpose for them. There's even a purpose for no-knock warrants. Purpose for, and let me explain something, because somebody said, a no-knock warrant means that you don't have to knock and announce before you enter. Typically, during a normal search warrant, what the cops will do is they'll say, whatever agency that I was for the county, we'll say Fulton County Sheriff's Department. Then we knock on the door. We may knock once, twice, depending on what kind of warrant it is, and then we knock the door down. On a no-knock, you don't have to do any of that. You just knock the door down. But immediately upon knocking the door down, you are supposed to still announce Sheriff's Department. You never get away with being quiet. The only difference in a no-knock is you get to say your agency after you hit the door, but they need to be almost simultaneously. So I'm confused on the boyfriend that shot. Like I said, and I ain't looked at all of it because y'all know I like when I hear something, I like to wait to get all the facts. The boyfriend shot. Who was saying police? Because if he's saying he didn't hear nothing, there's no way that you knock that door down and you're quiet for the first 3 or 4 entries. That's just not realistic. And I've done over 100 search warrants. And I would say that the majority of them, because they were drug related, were no-knock search warrants. So the no-knock ain't the problem. The problem is the surveillance from the agency. And when I was looking at the preliminary case, when we do a search warrant, for all the search warrants I did, and I'm just use you, fool. If I'm going to hit Fool's house, if I know I'm gonna hit Fool's house today at 8 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, somebody's on Fool's house the whole time, because 1, we want to make sure he's there. That's the most important part of the search warrant. 2, we want to know anybody who's coming in and out so that we're prepared. It makes no sense to do a search warrant if we're gonna hit it at 8, and we've had this happen quite a few times, where the subject leaves. We're not finna just hit a house based on a whim. And that's one of the things that I learned by being with some great agencies, because they make you set up a perimeter 4 to 5 hours ahead of time, because somebody's reporting, somebody's got eyes on it the whole time. People in, people out, whether kids come, whether old people come, because all these things are important. And I was telling somebody else, they was like, this, and you guys been here for a minute. Remember the Neal Street warrant? When APD messed up the Neal Street warrant with bogus information, it made it harder for all of us to get no-knock warrants. They didn't eliminate them because they don't need to be eliminated. There's a reason that they exist. But there's a process that all cops have to follow. And as I'm looking at some of the things in the Kentucky case, I'm still looking at that lieutenant or captain who was in charge of that unit. Because every search warrant that we did, we have to take it one, and I'm useful again. Fu and Jermaine, if they're on the team, I got to present them search warrant. Let them ask me questions first. They want to make sure that my information is correct. Even though I'm a law enforcement officer and they're supposed to take me at face value, the system says I need to be challenged to make sure I'm doing everything, because we're going to violate somebody's constitutional rights. So we got to have questions. They want to know, how do I know that there's going to be drugs there? How long have I been watching this guy? What was the last something I seen? Who's watching it? There's a whole process. The briefing takes almost 20, 30 minutes. You never just round everybody up and say, hey, we're going to do a search warrant in 20 minutes. We're going to hit this drug house. That never happens in a professional organization. So as I'm looking at some of the prelim stuff, the officer had 4 or 5 warrants. I've done those too, where we hit simultaneous houses at the same time. We actually use 5 different agencies. But again, we had 5 different people spotting all of them to make sure that what we were looking for was going to be there, and more importantly, to make sure there were no true innocent people there. We don't want to hit a house if there are kids there. We don't want to hit a house if there are more people that we don't know who they are. If I know who I'm looking for, that's the main person I want to be there. I probably got a list of his companions. If they show up, we check them off. If somebody says, they'll be like, everybody's got a name. So we'll be like, Goldilocks is there. Bear number 1 is there. Bear number 3 is there. Everybody has a different determination. So as I'm looking at some of this stuff, this whole search warrant process is, the regular people don't know a whole lot about it. So like I said, again, that's why I got Fu and Jermaine here. And I'm going to let you guys, if y'all got some questions, I ain't going to explain too much because I don't want to sound too copyish. I want to make sure I explain it to where you guys can understand it. Then we're going to get into some of the things that happened with this Breonna Taylor incident, if you guys are cool with that.
That's fine.
So y'all. Okay, go ahead. Y'all got questions for me? Lee?
Yeah. So as with you being a former officer, what do you think about, what do you think can be something that can be done immediately? I know, like you said, different laws for different states, but as far as let's say, for instance, the state of Georgia, what can be done immediately to reform some of the things that can prevent some of the things from happening that's been happening? What's something that immediately that can be changed?
Immediately, what we can do as citizens is demand more from the mayor, because that's who the police chief answers to, and the sheriff, because they're elected officials. Too many times they give us a kumbaya story and we feel sad for them. And we talked about this on Robert's show. The Minneapolis police chief, I think it was one of them, who was like, yeah, what I saw was reprehensible. The minute I saw it, it sickened me to my stomach. But what did he do about it? He came out there and said all the right things for the public, but he didn't change no policies. And this is where, when I try to tell people, we have to be more in tune with the law or find somebody who will tell you the truth. Certain laws need to be rearranged. And more importantly, when I talk about citizen review boards, a lot of police practices and sheriff practices just don't make any sense. But nobody ever asks about them. These attorneys don't ever challenge them. They don't ever bring them to the light. So we stuck arguing about things that are in reality not arguable, because when I talk about George Floyd, and why do I say the officer that did it was innocent? Based on their policy. Their policy said he could put his knee on his neck. No matter what we saw, he followed departmental policy. Departmental policy was wrong. So you know who needs to be in prison? The police chief. And everybody he hired as an administrator to look over these policies. And these are the things that we got to be more cognizant of, because we want justice. But we demanding justice from the wrong group of people, because even with everything that happened with the George Floyd situation, up until like 2 or 3 weeks after that, then they banned the knee on the neck. But that knee on the neck should have never been there. We don't teach that in Georgia. We'll kick you out the academy for doing that technique. And so it's these little things that we don't ever get into, because people keep making us focus on the bigger picture. And you can fix the window in your house, but if the foundation is leaning, the next one you put in there gonna still crack. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of it is the police chiefs. One of the things I always say we got to demand is that the police chiefs and sheriffs give us their financial statement for how much they paying out in wrongful death, wrongful arrest, and use of force. They never give us that information. That's where our tax dollars are going. We never think to ask them for those. When there's something wrong, somebody gets fired. But what happens to the police chief? They pretty much go unscathed. They say they're gonna do something, they're gonna fire somebody, but then they hire somebody else. I've been pushing for this national police registry. When a police officer is fired for misconduct, they need to go on a national registry, no different than a sex offender registry. So they can't be a cop nowhere. Because right now, if I commit a crime here in Georgia as a cop, I can go to Alabama and get a job, because my record ain't gonna follow me there. All I gotta do is quit. And my state records in Georgia ain't gonna follow me to Alabama, because there's no registry.
I got a question for you, and then I'm gonna make a statement. In all your years of in law enforcement, from your eyes, from what you saw, is the statistic pretty true that people commit crimes around the people they're around? So in other words, we kill ourselves white people kill white people, Asian people kill Asian people, whatever. In other words, the crimes against the numbers are high based on your race, if you get what I'm saying. Is that pretty much true from what you saw?
And I would say it depends on the crime. Assault cases, yes.
I'm only talking about murder.
Crime.
I'm only talking about murder. I'm only talking about murder.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. For murder, not more times than not, it's a proximity thing. It's somebody with, and what people don't understand, and murder specifically, murder is more often not a crime of passion. Very few people, when we talk about people who plan to kill somebody, those are not proximity time. But most of the murders that we hear about happen because of all of a sudden you made me mad and I'm upset. And as opposed to, you slap me, I slap you like we did back in the day. When you slap me, I run to the car and get a gun. But that's the norm. But for the true murderer, it's not a proximity crime. True murderers, they plot, they plan, and they make sure they go outside their area. If you look at any of the serial killers, they didn't kill that close to home because they don't need anything coming to them. But when we're talking about passion, or what most of us do, proximity is the biggest reason.
Here's the reason why I brought this up, and this is how I pretty much want to start the show for me. A lot of times when we see that we are getting murdered as usual by cops, and nothing ever happens. That's just, it's the norm. Nothing ever happens. What gets on my nerves is when I hear people say, "Well, where was the protest and all these people when we be killing ourselves? We be killing ourselves." And my response to that for everybody out there is to please shut the hell up. And I say that because when it's us killing us, there are people out there protesting. That's number one. It's just not it's not put out there like that. But number two, statistically, that's what happens. Number three, and most importantly, more than likely, almost 9.5 out of 10, somebody's going to go to jail for that murder. Even if it's the wrong person, somebody going to jail. But when it comes to the cops, when it comes to killing us, nobody ever gets convicted. So for people to say, why people mad? why ain't y'all angry the same way? People ain't angry the same way because the shit don't apply for everybody. I've been saying it for the longest, which I know it ain't gonna happen. Just make shit even across the board. If everything was even across the board, I'll be cool with that. You kill somebody, just start whatever, you get locked up. Politicians, all of that. Even across the board, I'm cool with that. But as we know, in this country, the norm is we get treated differently. When stuff affects us, we're the ones supposed to brush everything to the side and let it go and forgive and all that. Come on, man. Stop it, yo.
And let me say this before you go on. The reason why I'm going to disagree with one thing about having things equal across the board is the equality in that issue is what's killing us. Because by law, it's hard to convict any cop of murder ever. Because one, we're supposed to have guns. We're supposed to. As long as I'm at work, and if anything I'm doing is legal, you'll never get me for murder because you can't prove my intent. You can prove you may be able to prove that I killed somebody. And that's that legalese that a regular person like you will try to make a mix, and legally you can't ever make a mix because every state I've seen so far, the number one thing that you need for murder, you have to show intent. And you can't show intent with cop unless he did a lot of things, unless he has a personal connection with him. But what we need to do is redefine negligent homicide. Homicide is simply when you do something and somebody dies, which is what most cops are guilty of who kill somebody. What was the negligence? Was the negligence in training? Was the negligence in their actions? But and as much as I hate to say it, even with Breonna Taylor, can we prove that they went in there to murder her? There is no intent there. So they won't get it. The same thing with the lady up in Dallas. And that's why I try to tell people, it doesn't even fall under crime of passion because they're acting on the color of law. So we don't want equality on that one because that's why police have qualified immunity. Because as long as I'm acting as a cop, I get to do certain things. The change needs to be made that when I'm acting as a cop, once I cross a line and do something that is criminal, whether it's legitimate or not, there needs to be an automatic investigation. And
you got to. I would take that a step further. Did you watch the video with Dick Gregory?
Not yet. I haven't.
I'm gonna send you a video of Dick Gregory, and he pretty much said the way that you stop cops from murdering innocent people, period, is every single cop has to have a liability insurance policy. So then their choice for murdering somebody is either going to be feeding their family, or is the hate that I have for this person more than feeding my family? So then it makes them liable. I'm gonna send you the video, you can watch it yourself. But the way he worded it, it made all the sense in the world, because to me, not only it makes them hold themselves accountable. Because think about it, they're not gonna pull the trigger as fast. Not if it's a rightful, if they shoot somebody and it was correct. I ain't got a problem with that. But what we deal with, it will stop that, guaranteed.
And the reason I'm gonna disagree with you again is I want you to make sure you send me the video. Is once you throw the word murder in there, you can eliminate most of us. We know this. You can't make murder ever be a part of what I do in my daily work unless you can prove I had intent. And this is what we have to. That's what I'm saying. We have to get rid of that word. We have to.
It's not about the murder. It's not about the title of the murder. What I'm saying is based on what he said about the insurance policy. Cops will not wrongfully shoot somebody now because they're going to think first of what they can lose. In life, we all know this. Fear of loss is very powerful. Fear of loss is powerful as hell. If they think they're going to lose something, they're not going to act the same, not recklessly like they do, because there's no consequence. Right now, cops, what you saying, cops know. There ain't no consequence. But if there's a consequence based on their hand, they wouldn't do it as much. I'm going to show you the video right now.
And the reason that they would is because police unions are as powerful as LGBTQT. That's why when I was a cop, one of the first things I did was get out of the union. Police unions will defend with everything they got. They will defend guilty cops so the system is there. Even if I was a dirty cop, even if you made me get liability, all I'm gonna do is join the union, pay them $20 a month. Whatever I do, they're gonna defend me. They are gonna defend me. Most of them are almost Trumpish. You could have me on video shooting somebody, calling them racial epithets, and the union will find a reason. They'll give me PTSD. They'll give me depression. They'll give me something. So that won't apply. What we have to do is to stop them. You know how you know how you get people to let go of things that hurt them. You hurt the head, and as long as we keep avoiding the head. When you look at some of these agencies that have more than 2 killings that weren't official, look at the department head. If you don't fix him and he allows it to keep going on, if you let your kids curse in front of you, how Jermaine gonna stop them? At some point, we have got to fix the problem, not keep putting a Band-Aid on and hiring. We get rid of one bad officer and we hire 3 more to replace him, because that's a lot of what's going on. So we have to make that system and charge them and make sure the training is effective. Because when like I had to do a couple reviews and I look at them, and the first thing I do is I go look at their training record. Then I look at what they're trained, and I have to make an assessment just based off those facts, not what I see. Because what I see says one something. But now, what were you trained to do? Well, then, he was trained to do this. Let me look. The policy, the departmental policy says he followed training to the T. We don't ever challenge training. If I train you to do wrong, how can I ultimately convict you of it? No matter what insurance I get. So if we don't look at what's really causing the problem, we had a policy before that we could use the taser. The initial policy said all you had to do was tell me no. Once you told me no, I could tase you. Didn't matter what the no was to. If I said show me your license, you say no. The policy said I could tase you. We had to make a conscious effort to change that because it was too reckless for the officer who didn't have compassion or who didn't know the streets, but he had an out. So why'd you tase that guy? When I asked for it, he told me no. Well, if you suspend him, you know what's going to happen? It becomes paid vacation because the policy says I can do it at that point. And that's what we have to look at, how we're setting officers up for failure, and whose fault is it really that they're doing this? Because if they know, if I'm a training officer and I tell Jermaine, do this, well, why? Because the policy says you can do it. Jermaine is more than likely going to do it because he knows it's company approved now. Even if he dead wrong and fool, you said, man, you shouldn't do that. You know, Jermaine gonna say it's policy. It don't have to be law. It's policy.
So
What you
so
got,
so
Jermaine?
DV so DVT. Let me ask you this. So it's systematic, right? So we got some systematic flaws, not just in the police department, in the whole system. It's just to a degree. So you said the police chief has to answer to the mayor.
Right. Because that's who
So
appoints.
can we can we say that we have that the mayor is corrupt? Well, can we say that
Yeah.
the mayor
Yeah. You can say the
is
mayor's corrupt.
compromised, is corrupt,
The
corrupt or
mayor's negligent.
compromised, negligent for this things to be happening? Because as a police officer, and you seeing these things, and of course, my thinking is, it's all media mind tricks, because the media is putting out, whatever they want to control an emotion from a demographic. So when you go back and say, well, it's training because of the policy, what the policies say. So and this is what makes it hard for the normal person when they see this stuff on Facebook or the media or whatever, and they see a white guy wielding a knife at police officers, and they don't draw their weapon not one time. They trying to beat him, they trying to calm him down. But then on the other hand, when you see black people, no knife, just maybe talking or whatever, and then they getting guns drawn on them immediately. So at some point, yeah, it may be training, but at training at some point, training it got something more to do with that person than the training. Because what makes you draw your gun on somebody who's black and not draw your gun on somebody who's white? And these situations are all different states and whatever, and the rules probably different. But at some point, as a person, you're making that decision. You can make a decision, say, well, I'm gonna take my taser out rather than my gun. Why to choose the gun instead of the taser?
But and see, and that's why I would say, whenever we look at these, we call them apples to apples, but they're apples to oranges, because each person is different.
Right.
I gave Robert a scenario. I got there was a guy one time who had a knife. I chose to disarm him. When everything, I'm a trainer, and I train people. When a guy pulls out a knife, shoot him. It's hard to defeat a guy with a knife. It is hard. Knife fighting is something I've been trained in. I didn't have that issue. My captain hated me for that, because I put everybody at risk. That was wrong on my part, because he could have hurt many people had he got past me. But I felt the comfort level with being able to do it. Some officers are just good. Most officers are good. And that's why I say you can't compare they're apples to oranges, because with this new system, and I hate it, where they want, when I became a cop, the number one priority is you had to have had 2 years in a job where you did customer service. Customer service doesn't sound like a lot. Now they want you to have 2 years of college or a degree. You know what the difference is? When you got a job doing customer service, you learn that people yell and do other things, and you learn how to put up with that. A lot of these college kids, and I ain't knocking college people, but if they came, we ain't going to college because we don't have the economics, or we don't have the grades. So when people raise their voice at us and start talking trash, what do? We either talk trash back to them, or we keep moving. But if you ain't come from that environment and somebody start threatening you, the first thing you do is panic, which is rightly so, because you have never experienced this. Their academy is different. So these are things they've never done. And they've been surrounded by people who are giving them bad information. But again, we don't want people who got customer service experience no more. We want people who are smarter. Smarter doesn't make you better trained. It means you can talk better. But when a situation like you saying, I went to a lady's house, her son was having an episode, and we talked about this on Robert's show. Her son was having an episode where he was having a mental breakdown. And he was trying to stab everybody. I just put something between us. I didn't want to shoot him. I didn't think tasing him was going to work because of how he was acting. Again, is that what every officer would have done? Probably not. But my training was a whole lot better. I came from a whole lot different situation. And that's why I harp on training, because you have to put these guys in real world training scenarios like we do. If you came to the academy when I was teaching, you were going to get in a fight with me, because I need to see what your stress level is like, and I need to push you so that you're comfortable being stressed. If all I do is give you tests, let you go to the range and shoot at a paper target that's not shooting back, and say, well, what would you do with this? What would you do with that? You're going to answer all the questions correctly. But when I come and jump you and you're not prepared for it, I'm gonna get a taste of the real you. And I'm gonna see what you're doing. So now I know how to train you, because I gotta train you to deal with stress. What did they do with firemen? They put them in a fire. They don't just let them take tests and spray the hose. They go into a building and say, so now they know, because even though you know it's training, your body still responds to that heat. Your body still responds to those flames. We're not doing that with these guys now. We want everybody to take a test. We want everybody to score 85 or 90 and prove how smart they are and prove how articulate they are. And that's more of our problem, because nobody's telling us what we don't need anymore. We're focusing on things that have little to do with fixing the problem, but they make us feel better. That Trump attorney, they'll say things, but they don't affect the big picture, but they make us feel good. And too many times we've been led astray by people saying things that we wanted to hear versus things that we needed to do. And Fu said it, I want to say the last show with Robert, sometimes when I tell you stuff, you don't like what I'm telling you, but if you sit back and marinate on it, I'm giving you the real. And sometimes the real ain't what we want. We want to hear something, we want justice right now. Well, right now ain't going to happen. What we can do is prepare for justice in 90 days. See, we can start demanding that they give us the stats, what they paying out in wrongful terminations, in abuse lawsuits, so we can start finding out. So now if you're paying out $8 million, $20 million for abusing inmates, what did you do to fix it? Because you don't know about it. So you would never know that they got a long-term problem with abuse issues. Now, when I look at that, I can see what the common links are. Now I can start fixing and getting rid of officers. But if I never know, we found out about, what's the guy name who killed George Floyd? We found out about his record after he got 16 complaints. But nobody, why is he still there with why is he still there with 16 complaints? See, he is a problem. He is a problem. But you made him a training officer and you let him train people. So now who's the real problem? Is it him, or is it the police chiefs and his supervisors? Does that make any sense?
Right.
And that's part of what we gotta. Go ahead.
Think about independent investigation of cops who instead of having, because most of the time the department does investigation, instead of investigation firm doing these investigation. That can be changed immediately.
Well, but politics. For every shooting should automatically go to the state level. It should just go to the state bureau of investigation, whoever that is, because they have less ties. I'm in Fulton County. If I let Douglas County do the investigation, I may still know some people in Douglas County. The chance of me knowing state people, because they run the state, and a lot of times what they do is they bring in officers out of their jurisdiction to make sure that they don't have any crossover. And those are the things that you need along with the citizen review board, because as I've watched video with certain people with civilians, and they was like, well, why are you saying he's not guilty? And I showed them the video, then I explained training to them. They don't like it, but if this was your training to do, then they got to look at it a whole different way. And that's how we keep getting away with this system that needs to be fixed, because we don't change the law or we don't change policies. We paint street signs, we rename streets, we cry, we sing praises, we give out a little money sometimes, but whatever changes. All we keep doing is putting a Band-Aid on the same problem. We don't ever fix it. We just hope it's going to go away eventually. Or as Fu was saying, one of the things that Black people are good at doing is, one, we're good at forgetting and we're good at forgiving. But we don't ever require change to forgive and forget. When you're in a relationship, when somebody ain't doing it, you let it go. What's the best way that people apologize? Change their behavior. Don't just keep telling me you're sorry. Change your behavior. What are we doing to help change this? We don't get in. Fu said he's been in the politics since 2000. So you got to understand what it is you're looking for. I know to ask for the training records. I need to see that, because that's going to tell me more than anything anybody can tell me. With Breonna Taylor, it's like, well, the guy who shot him should be charged with murder. Well, if there's going to be a conviction, the guy who took out the warrant should be the one who's convicted, because he gave all the bad information to the cops. If we're all cops, you're supposed to trust everything that I'm saying. So when you follow behind me and I tell you that the guy in the next room is armed, the law says you can take me at face value because I'm an officer of the court. So if you shoot the guy, is it your fault? No, it's my fault for telling you there was an armed guy in there. So before we go in there, I'm like, look, man, he got an AR-15. He done threatened to kill the cops. He done said this. He done said this. So as soon as we hit, when you kick the door open, there's a bang just because of the way doors go. So you already got your mindset that this is a killer in there. You let 2 or 3 rounds go, and you find out it wasn't nothing but a spoon he dropped because he eating some applesauce. And you sitting there defending yourself, you don't ever think to say, well, Dale said that he had a gun. Ain't nobody gonna never come back to me. All the focus is gonna be on you. All the focus. They're gonna want me in full suspended because we was with you, but they don't realize that I was the cause of the whole thing. I was the nexus. I caused you to be there with your gun, shooting at another guy who's supposed to have a gun. And that's what we got to start fixing the system. Hold that for 1 second. We need to take a quick. Hold up 1 second, fool. We need to take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back. Give us like 2-3 minutes, fam, and we'll be right back.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
We are back. For the first time in 62 years, the Florida Memorial Lions will hit the gridiron, and their home games will be streamed by the Black College Sports Network at www.fmuathletics.com, www.mybcsn.net, and on the MyBCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
All right, I think we back. All right, Fool, you had a question?
I was gonna say you mentioned earlier, and you was like, certain cases it should be passed on to the state, and I find that real ironic with what's going on with Breonna Taylor, because the Attorney General is married to Mitch McConnell's granddaughter, and he spoke at the RNC. In my personal opinion, even though nothing still would have happened, he should have recused himself, because there's a blatant conflict of interest. They would never say it because they can always skirt around it. But come on, man. That right there, that's not a good look.
And the thing is I don't even think there should be a recusal. You shouldn't even be able to you shouldn't even be in a position where you got to recuse yourself, because we know everybody won't. So you putting the onus on the wrong people. Good people are going to recuse themselves. And you know what's crazy? Most times those are the people who don't need to recuse themselves. But because of the impropriety, they don't want no. So what you end up with is the good people who should. I investigated somebody. I knew him. I didn't know him like that. I had an impression of him. What I found was shady, not illegal. I talked to him about it. And at first he didn't want to talk to me because we didn't have a good history. I told him, hey, you actually need me. The more I can prepare you, if you did something wrong, you need to be found at this level. Because if it goes to the feds, you're going to prison. Here you can just get fired. But we don't like that. And too many people have a hidden agenda with wanting to subvert justice. And that's where we have to pay attention to who we elect and what it is they do. Even when we get down to, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, when we look at some of these people who go free, and I told somebody this, we good for, George Taylor, say his name, George Floyd, say his name, Breonna Taylor, say his name, and all of these. But do we ever call out the judges who let cops go free? Do we ever call out the DAs who don't do a good job? These are all elected people. We're so focused on remembering who died, we don't focus on making the system better. Because what we don't remember initially, when it's time for election, we don't forget about these judges that let the football rapers go because it would mess up his life. But then the boy who kissed the girl, we don't mind giving him 20 years. So when it's time to reelect him, who brings that up? Because we don't remember their names. And I told you, at some point, we have to call the name of our oppressor so that we don't keep making the same mistake. Because in 3 years, we don't forget what they did, because now it's time for election. And of course, they're not going to bring that up. That's on us to do a better job. Like you had something to say,
let me say something, which is, it's ironic that you just made that statement. I had to go to the store before I came home and jump on the show. And I was sitting in the car and I was thinking about social media. So with us having access to social media, I posed a what if in my mind. What if every single person who has a problem with what's been going on in a lot of these cases, if they saw the cop, the prosecutor, the judge in the street, and automatically went live and was like, aren't you that cop that killed such and such? Aren't you that judge that let them go? Aren't you that prosecutor? But think about what I'm saying though, but everybody does it. If everybody did that shit, it would drive them crazy, because now, even not by a court of law, they're not getting prosecuted, but in a court of public opinion, and people see who they are. Now they looked at just like somebody who was a damn child molester, who on a registry, where people look the way they, because it puts them in a different place that they're not used to, because they're used to a sense of power. But it's a way to destroy that power if you do it intelligent, if you do it smart,
right,
if you do it smooth. And to me, that's a different. I swear, it's crazy that you said that, because I thought about that sitting in the car, like, damn, what if every day, unless a person, obviously gonna have to lead a state, every day somebody got them on camera like that? That would drive their asses crazy, yo.
And remember, that's what happened to one of the Atlanta guys, the APD guys, when he went to Sam's or somewhere. A girl broke out the camera, was following him around. But we have to do a better. We have to, whether we want to or not, we have to keep our oppressors in mind and keep their name floating. So that's when election time, when it's time for us to be heard, we can be heard. Because what they do now, and this is what people don't like to hear, because I've been on the other side. What they do now is give you something to argue about that they know you can't change. And they'll keep feeding you that narrative, knowing you can't change it. Knowing that if you don't know no better, when we have all these sessions and it's time to talk about laws being changed, you saw how quick they changed some of them abortion laws? They can change laws just like that. Don't let them fool you. It don't take but it realistically can be done in 90 days. You see how quickly
Nah,
they start banning choke, huh?
they do.
You see
Man,
how quickly.
yo, yeah. Somebody said that earlier. My whole thing is it's hilarious. People, this is now mind you, I got a criminal justice degree. The one thing I remember about class from my favorite professor is he said, criminal justice is all about discretion. When you get pulled over, a cop could let you go. You could have did everything wrong. When you go to court, the prosecutor could be like, nah, let him go. You can go through a whole trial. The judge will say, nah, you can let him go. But they do what they want to do. And then they give you the mask like you have a choice. It happens to me in criminal justice. It happens in the government. It's the same shit. That's why for me, and it's sad that we're like this because honestly, we're desensitized to the bullshit. We used to it.
Exactly.
Hell.
Right. And we accept it.
No, not all of us. We don't accept it because the problem is, once again, since we don't own shit, we can't get shit. As slaves, we were property. Now, mind you, it's 2020. We got 3 Pan-African men on this panel right now. I can't even imagine what was going through a man's mind back in the day when their wife came back in the house from getting fucked by master. Because it wasn't nothing he could do.
Nothing.
Flip that. When they buck breaking probably her husband, there's nothing she can do. When they snatching babies, there's nothing she can do. It's the same exact thing in 2020. It's the same fucking shit. Because we could talk till we blue in the face. It ain't shit gonna be done. We can't expect them to change. That's why we have to focus on our own shit. But we got to get past the divide and conquer shit where you got Sambo over here and then the righteous ones over here that want more, but Sambo will take something from the white man to infiltrate shit. It's like I said, man, the circle is crazy, and I don't even get mad no more. I can't even get mad no more. And the more this shit happens, the more I understand why motherfuckers was dancing in the street when OJ got off. I swear, now it makes all the sense in the world. I get why Cats was happy because it was like finally it happened when we got off. But it doesn't matter because shit, 1 out of what? 1,000? If that.
But and I'm gonna tell you the reason I disagree. Historically, what we know is, and we talk about this. We talk about who is in the police department, who is in politics, and we keep going white supremacy. But we know from history, the Crips and the Bloods infiltrated the police department to make their organizations better. When I hear black people saying that they don't want to do it, see, they're telling me that they're giving up because the one something, and it wasn't, I will be honest, it was not my intent when I became a cop. But once I got there and saw that I could help people who didn't understand, I understood why people infiltrate. We have to infiltrate. We can make the change, but we got to be willing to be agents of change. If all we want to do is be bitches from afar, that's all we're going to ever be. See, once I'm in, I can come back and tell people what I saw. I can tell people how you can affect change. I can tell people about cops I locked up. I can tell people about white cops I locked up because there are a lot of people who want to help. But what happens is that some people just don't know. So we can get power from simply sitting at the table and doing the thing that we hate most. Sometimes you got to sit back, shut up, and listen. They will tell you stuff. And ask inmates how they find out about stuff going on in jail. Cops get comfortable around them and start talking. Guess who does the same thing? Administrators. When you don't say nothing, that's why I hate people say, oh, if you don't say something, you're going for it. No, I'm learning the way this game is played. If I start talking, I'm going to get kicked out, and I ain't going to never know the master plan. So sometimes you need people who are in there that can come back and tell other people. So this is what we need to do. But at some point, we have to become them. We have to get in there, just like the Crips and the Bloods did, to get their drug gangs. People don't want to talk about them when they came in, but we knew that's what they was doing. We just couldn't stop it because they played the game well enough to get promoted to where they could control the patrols. And guess what?
They're gonna let me in. They're gonna let me in.
But yeah, for that, you know. But I'm just saying, we have to start making a concerted effort to get in so that we can control the narrative. If more of us who care, who are under 35, got in, and then we become the control. You know, people like, how many dirty cops did you ever work with? That I saw one. Because once people know you're a certain way, they're not gonna do it in front of you. So what you have to depend on is people who you know on the streets telling you stuff and giving you information. I testified on 3 separate cops, but you know what? Once somebody came to me and complained, I could tell them what to do to set him up because he was still never going to do anything in front of me because he knew I wasn't that guy. But when I set them up with a wire, when I had them make phone calls and put them on speakerphone, when I had them do little things, it was easy. But they had somebody who was on the inside. You know, oh yeah, file a complaint. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes filing complaints work. But if you want to make sure, you got to have somebody who knows the system that's on your team. When people inbox me and say, hey, this was happening, tell me what you think. And I just say, you know, be open-minded, because all I'm looking at, I don't know you, I don't know them. All I'm looking at is what I can read. And then I got to read the law. And I can say, well, based on the law, this ain't a crime. So let me see if I can get the policy. And at best, they may have violated policy, they may not have. But again, for us to get some power, we got to stop. And don't get me wrong, ain't nothing wrong with owning stuff. But ownership comes with a lot of responsibility that a whole lot of us ain't cut out for, whether we like that or not. So we got to learn to be players and then start taking control. But let's learn first. That way, when it's time to overthrow power, we know how to fight that too. Because again, most of us become too emotionally involved in stuff, and we don't see the bigger picture. We don't see the legal portion of the picture. When Jermaine had asked me something, and I like what people tell me, but I have to tell them, you're speaking from emotion. The law does not speak with emotion. The law speaks from a state of legalese. If we're going to change something, like when you kept saying murder, every time you say murder, you know what you just said? Innocent, 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 innocent. Because as soon as you say it, I'm going to say, prove he intended to do it. You're going to say, well, he went in there and just shot. Prove that he went there to kill him. He went there in the execution of his duty. I'm going to stick with that, and you can't change that as long as you're saying murder. But now, if you start talking, if you say, hey, it was homicide and it was negligence, again, legally speaking, homicide means that somebody died. Negligence means he didn't mean to, but it still happened. Now we can have a serious argument, because what caused that negligence? See, now you're making me open up a door I don't want to open up. But if I'm smart and I'm an administrator, I'm going to keep making you talk about murder, because I don't want to have a conversation where I got to admit any wrongdoing. As long as we talking murder, I'm winning every day, all day. And all you're going to do is get mad, and you're going to say the same things. People saying, oh, we tired of them murdering our people. We tired of them murdering our people. Murder says specifically, you have to prove intent. Specifically. So we have to talk their language. We have to speak their language if we want to affect change, because that's what they depend on us to do. They depend on us speaking out of pocket. You ain't got to do
Yeah,
that.
you know what's crazy about you saying that? And Jermaine, I'm about to give you an aha moment too. I'm not gonna say that it's a fact. I'm almost willing to bet my life that every time Ben Crump has spoken on the mic, the lawyer for all of these cases, I'm almost willing to say that he said murder. Now,
Yeah.
the fact that D just said what he said about the legality aspect of it, and then you have a lawyer saying the wrong shit, that I'm not going to say it's true. I can't. I'm not going to say that that's what he did. But I'm sitting there saying to myself, wait a minute. What'd you say?
You saying he paid for
No,
it?
listen.
No.
No.
What I'm saying is, if it's true, if Ben Crump has ever done a press conference and spoken and said the murder of whoever, if he's ever said this before the trial, whatever the case may be, he's a horrible fucking lawyer. Because obviously, and see, mind you, this is me just thinking. This is me on some common sense shit. I'm listening to everything that Darren is saying. And I've heard this before from certain lawyers and things like that, because you hear certain shit when they be like, you got to make sure that you bring the right case, you bring the right charge so they can get convicted. That's the key. So from what he's saying, if you bring the right charge, you're good. Because if you bring up murder, they're not going to come down from that. But if you could bring the highest charge for negligent homicide, whatever the case may be, they might talk you down. Ben Crump ain't been doing that. He's been speaking based on emotion.
So
he's speaking based on. Go ahead, Jermaine. I'm sorry.
Is it safe to say that? And I don't want to put this on that man, but like I said, it's funny. He's the lawyer that always is defending, this stuff. So could he be in somebody's pocket? Could he know what to say and not saying what he's supposed to say? Because if you're a competent lawyer, if it's out of fucking damn law school or whatever, yeah, you may say something like that. But to be experienced like he is experienced, why does he keep murder? When he get the murder charge, he can't, because it's not murder from what DVT is saying. So
Jermaine,
that's just throwing something out there.
Jermaine, tell me why you say he's an experienced lawyer.
I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, and like I said, because every time something like this happens, he's the face of the defendant attorney. So he may not be experienced.
He's not. What he is. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
He's a 21st century Jesse Jackson. He's chasing the camera. I've spoken with attorneys who have handled cases where people died, and you'll never see an interview because they don't do them. Agencies like him because he's going to bring it to the forefront. He's going to say the wrong things. He's going to get his 33%, and it comes from the family's money. So he's getting paid. That's all he cares about, which is why I don't like him. Go to his Facebook page. You'll see a bunch of complaints about him on his Facebook page. He comes in and will sell you out, but what he's going to do is play to your emotion. Yeah, they murdered your son. This is what you should get. This is what we should do. And you fall for it. He don't tell you, hey, we can't get this. But what we can do, and I told somebody, it ain't about the money, but it is about the money. We can't bring a life back. But what we can do is give generational wealth. And what we got to do is change the system. But when we listen to the Ben Chumps and we listen to the ones who run on TV, remember the white girl in Minnesota that got paid her family? We don't even know who their attorney was. They paid them just like that because they wanted to keep it out. They wanted to keep the settlement out. That happens more often than not, which is why I say one of the things we got to do is ask for what they're paying out in settlements. When he went down there, Ben Trump went down there to Florida, when that first came out, and I told everybody Zimmerman was innocent of the charge because Florida stand your ground law says you can actually do what he did. Once they come on your property, it is what it is, and you can use deadly force, even up to chasing him. Because Florida law don't say you got to be in fear of nothing. That law still ain't been changed. To this day, that law still is there. That if you walk somebody's property in Florida and they don't want you there, they can follow you down the street and follow you home and shoot you. What did he do for that? Nothing. And this is where we get led astray because he'll come on TV with that, I don't know what he talk like. But we fall for these over and over again because we want to hear the word murder so bad. And he says it for us. He makes us feel good about it. But that ain't it. And the police, the administrators, everybody's going to keep saying the same thing. They're going to keep saying murder. They're going to keep saying murder because that's what they want us to focus on. And we got to focus on.
I can't wait to go live. I swear to God. I can't wait. Bruh, you don't understand how I could feel the motherfuckers in my brain on a treadmill running the way I'm thinking. I'm dead serious because I'm thinking about so much shit from certain bullet points that you've said, which makes me like when I do my next few videos, and I'm not even gonna call them trolls. Certain people that be on my page just saying stupid shit. Hey. The way I'm gonna word it, they're gonna be like, damn, you know what? I can't even say nothing. I can't because, oh my God, yo, that Ben Crump shit, I need to go. I want to go back. I literally want to go back to some of the cases, and I could damn near visualize him saying, because he could barely speak any goddamn way. The murder of Trayvon, the murder of he said it because he say the same shit. He says the same shit. He's very repetitive, right. And I'm almost willing to bet that he did that. And you're right. Like, we don't see lawyers holding even what was my man name that died? That defended OJ. If he must have quit. What was that?
Yeah, Cochran.
Johnny Cochran was on camera for the case. We never really heard him speak like that. You never did. You knew who he was. And that makes so much sense, because to me, it's about switching up the strategy now based on what you're saying, because it's fact, it's true. In order for this shit to actually, for us to have progress, for something to happen, certain steps got to be made, and certain people should not be involved. I don't mind the press to bring the publicity to the case. That's cool. But when it comes to people that's involved in the case, we shouldn't see them. Damn that.
But you do. You don't want the press there, because what happens when you let the press in is you start tainting the jury pool, because they keep hearing murder. The first thing they're gonna hear is what it takes to commit murder. So I don't care how long the trial goes, they're gonna keep telling you what the definition of murder is. So everybody on the jury gonna keep waiting for the defense attorney to prove motive. That's why, you know, when people say, why they not showing this? Because I've been a cop. You don't want everything public, because you're tainting the jury pool. Yeah, we could be keeping secrets, but we could be getting people off by letting things out that we want people to start hearing. Because they're going to hear something. They're going to hear something. And that one little snippet is all I need you to get stuck with. I need for you to come to the jury room and be mad. Because you want to convict somebody. And then you learn the law while you're on jury duty and realize, damn, this ain't it. This ain't it. And that's the crazy part. And that's why I tell people, we got to quit speaking with emotions. Because what do we know about whooping our kids? Don't do it while you're emotional, because you're going to get carried away. We got to take that a step further and do it in real life. All the heinous things we see, we have to sit back. You know, when people say, why you do a video? Because I don't like doing videos, but I like to wait till I start getting more facts, so I'm not responding emotionally. Even when I'm responding with my cop knowledge, I can only tell you what I know for me. But again, I have to look at the state, look at their laws, try to get some departmental policies from the department that did it before I can make an argument that makes sense. Whether you like it or not, I need to make it make sense. And most people don't like that, because if I say something, I say the cops were wrong, oh, you defending cops. No, I'm not defending cops. I'm just telling you what the policy says. Do I think it was horrible? I do. But horrible is not illegal. It ain't illegal. If you want to convict this guy, you're going to have to go with, like New York and other states, you're going to have to go with a second-degree felony or a B felony. See, Georgia don't have those. In Georgia, this is what he can be charged with. These are our rules. This says this. But Kentucky ain't got this. Virginia ain't got this. So under Virginia law, he's free and clear, because there is no subsection. We don't have degrees of murder. We got malice murder, which means you meant to do it. We got felony murder, which means you can. If I break in your house and I scare you have a heart attack, that's felony murder, because I committed a felony and you died because of that felony. Most states don't have that. Whether I had a gun or not, the fact that you died while I was committing a felony makes it felony murder, which is how we get a lot of murder cases. People who, man, I didn't even have a gun. Don't matter. You scared the old lady. She had a heart attack because of you. It's an easy to prove case. I don't have to prove any intent. I just got to prove now he committed a felony. You broke in the lady's house. We caught you with all this stuff. Your fingerprints are there. You're on the video camera. That's an easy, simple case. No emotions involved. It's just dealing strictly with legalese. So when we get these people like that Ben dude, who I treat like 45, I hate to even say his name. I just ain't came up with a nickname for him yet. They lead us astray. They pull at our heartstring. We hear how horrible something is. We hear how heinous something is. But again, what's the solution? Not a Band-Aid. How do I fix this problem? What police chiefs need to go? The black police chief in Minneapolis, he got to go. He has got to go. Him sitting there holding the family, shedding tears, doing everything because he pull at their heartstring. But again, which policy did you change? What have you taken accountability for? You're the head of the ship. You're the head of the ship. When they went to defund, who kept their job? He did, because the people like him, because he kumbaya with them. They fell for the okie doke. They fell for, and this is where we get so caught up in words and emotions. And I'll tell you, it's why I picked you guys, because I need people who, I don't mind when you come at me, because when I give you stuff, we still speaking as grown men. And you may not like everything I say, but when it starts to make sense, like it or not, you gotta be like, damn, why is it? Or you say, man, I thought that, but I wasn't sure. Because I know this side. I know this side. I know this side. I've been there when they talk about stuff. I've been there when they, around dirty cops. And the whole thing is, well, one of the crooked cops who I testified against, well, why you didn't say he did this? Because by the code section, he didn't. It sounds good, but that's not what he did. He didn't do that. But they wanted me to up my statement to be something more aggressive so that they could get him off. But, if you say he did this, he can get more time. But I can say that, but I can't prove it. So why would I say it? But it'll make everybody happy. So do we want to be happy, or do we want justice? And that they not always the same. And we have to sit back. Like when me and April were talking the other day, CIT, critical incident training. It's free here. But most agencies, because of politics, only send their top-ranking officials or their favorite people who off on weekends and work day shift. Most breakdowns occur at night. They occur after 7 o'clock when all these people are off. They occur on the weekends and holidays when people have time to have a manic moment. Where are all the people they sent to the class? They're off now because they can't afford to let the guy who worked 12 to 8 go because they only got a couple officers working. See, that's politics. So when we sit back and we look at how they deploy people, it ain't a problem with some of the money. It's a problem with some of the deployment. Why do you have 8 chiefs? You only need 3. Every shift got a watch commander who's a captain. Why? You only need a lieutenant. You can let the sergeants be there. But we got so much on the top because of politics, because everybody doing a favor for their friend, that when it's time to attack something, we missing the biggest piece of the picture, which could help us. We do need more officers on the street. We do need better trained officers. One of the sheriffs I worked for mandated that all of us had to get X amount of training. If you got perfect attendance, you could get more training. Your supervisor didn't have nothing to do with that. We became a better training department. Our use of force instances went down because people became more educated. They got to go to better classes. They got to go to some of my classes where we do crimes in progress, where we do active shooting. So they learn how to deal with the stressors. You got people going to CIT to learn how to deal with people who are mentally unbalanced. So now when they see them, think about this now. In the department of 1,000 people, 25 people go. So the one that happened on day shift, one of them 25 go. That's the guy you see doing his job. But for the other 24 times that somebody lose their mind, the other 700 officers ain't never been. So we comparing apples to oranges because one guy's been trained, one guy ain't. They both wearing the same uniform. They both work for the same department, but they not close to being the same because one guy was given way more that he can't use, but the guy who needs it ain't giving it because, well, he knew we don't like him, whatever crazy excuse they got. And these are the things that these attorneys don't push forward. They don't mandate that these trainings are mandatory. They are if you're gonna work this, it's mandatory. Either one of you guys ever been in the military?
Hell no.
Nope.
Hell
I figured
no.
you ain't. But let me tell you one of the greatest things the military does. Prior to becoming a sergeant, the military makes you go to an NCO prep school. And then you have to serve as an NCO prep for a year before you get your stripes. So you're trained, but most places promote you, then train you. It's too late. Once you got promoted, you good. You ain't worried about it. The military, before they promote you, they train you. And then you have to act in that position to get that position. That makes so much sense. But in the free world, they promote you. I'm gonna make you a sergeant. And next month I'm gonna teach you how to be a sergeant. How much sense does that make? I'm gonna make you the head chef and teach you how to cook later on. But that's how a lot of police departments and sheriff's departments work, which is so backwards. But again, nobody challenges this. Have you ever heard that attorney dude ask them about their training? Have you ever heard them ask what is being done? First thing you do when you got a case is you ask for his records. How many times has he been disciplined? Let's see what he's been disciplined for. Has he never had a problem, or has he had a bunch of problems? This is where you start at. You don't start with all the other stuff. You know, as you said with Johnny Crockett, when we got a case, the first thing you should say is, hey, I have no comment right now. Let me do my investigation, and we'll get back to you later. And that's it. But all that, oh, we're going to get justice, we're going to get this. When has he ever got justice? Ever. But he get paid because people assume he's the face because he keeps showing up. Because this is what he'll tell them. He'll come to your family and tell you he's going to do it for free. So now you got you a free lawyer. But you don't realize that part of your settlement, 30% belongs to him. And he's going to put another little clause in there that says he get extra for doing interviews and stuff. So the $1 million that you thought you was going to get end up being close to $300,000-$400,000 after taxes and his cut. Because you don't, have y'all seen any family come back and talk about how great a job he did for them and how they want to thank him for what he did? Go figure that out. Because they don't. Because he's railroading a lot of them. And, you know, but again, like I say, when we get into the police portion and the politics portion, you know, people say, why you don't speak? I don't know a lot of dirty cops. I hear stories, and then when I do investigation, what I find is a suspicious cop. Can I call him dirty based on the facts that I have? No. Does he deserve watching? Of course he does. But what did he do that was illegal? He broke a policy. Shit, he broke a bunch of policies. If that was the case, then hell, there's no need. I'm not tell you about all the policies I broke. Some of them I broke knowingly, some of them I didn't break knowingly. But just because you break a policy don't mean that you're a bad cop. What was the intent? What was the intent? You know, I broke into a house to get a kidnapped girl. Does it change the narrative? I broke into a man's house. It still made me wrong. The ends justify the means. Sure they do. Does it mean I still didn't commit a felony? A forcible felony. I had a gut feeling to go in the house. That's all I had. I went in there anyway. How wrong am I for that? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 10. I knew what I was doing was illegal. I still did it. So should I be in prison? I want y'all to say no. But yeah, I should, because I broke the law. And
one thing that I can say, and I think that all three of us can probably agree on this. I think that in all of these cases, especially since it's so consistent, there needs to be somebody like you who's either in law enforcement or former law enforcement who really understands it, that's communicating with the criminal defense attorney. Because verbiage carries so much fucking weight. It carries so much weight, especially when we start talking about the legalities of shit. Because I get that too, because lawyers speak a whole different language. They speak a whole different language once you understand the law. And to me, that combination of people could probably do some damage, because then they can't counter. They're like, oh shit, we wasn't expecting them to say that. We wasn't expecting them to come this way. And I think that could possibly, of course, I don't believe nothing till it happens. Fuck all that shit, especially when we talk about this. But I'm really absorbing the knowledge and the wisdom that I'm getting from this, because it's putting my mental in a different standpoint, because I get it about, you know, I always say that facts, knowledge, truth, and common sense and logic trumps fear and emotion. But that's not true. It should trump fear and emotion. But fear and emotion, it conquers all, because it's fight or flight. Usually, motherfuckers, those gonna be the first reactions, and that's exactly what we consistently deal with.
Right, and that's why I say, you know, for certain shows, I need people who can answer questions, because these are not easy topics. And like I said, a lot of people, you know, they don't want to hear what you got to say unless you're saying, you know, let's go to war, let's kill everybody, let's do this, let's do that. You know, somebody was like, this is what we need to do. I'm like, listen, man, I hear what y'all saying. And I've seen your little pretty guns on Facebook. But have you seen what they got? They got guns on machines. They got guns on jeeps. We ain't ready for a war like that. We need to become smarter. We ain't prepared to feed ourselves. If they kill a cell phone tower, most of us are SOL. We don't know Morse code. We don't know bird talk. We don't know none of that. We got to stop acting like war is the only way. We have to become more intelligent. We have to be a little bit calmer. We still need your fire, fool. I'ma always need that fire. But with that fire, you need some ice because there needs to be a balance. And that's why I tell people we have to have multiple ways of attacking. Because as long as we come from a bunch of they can't prepare for all of them. But don't be upset when somebody don't want to fight because you want to fight. If the purpose of a fight is just to say you fought, I teach fighting people. And people say, well, I'm going to know this. I may lose, but they're going to know they've been in a fight. Well, to me, that's a dumb mentality. If you know you're going to lose, why even fight? The purpose of a fight is not to show somebody that you'll stand there. The purpose of a fight is to win. If it ain't about winning, why even do it? A L is a L. Nobody remembers second place. So we're going to have these fights. We have to be strategic about them. We have to make sure they make sense. And it's crazy. I got a couple of police chiefs who will call me and say, hey, I'm going to send you something. Look at it and tell me what you think. They won't ask me to come to them publicly because they know I'm going to get them my unbiased opinion. I've had to say bad things about friends of mine from what they sent me. Honesty is all I can give you at that point because for me, that means everything from this point. And what would you do? Hey, that's not my policy now. I can just tell you where they were wrong and where they were illegal or where your policy needs changing. And a couple of them say, well, how would you fix this? Or where's a loophole in this? And I can give them that. Because there are some who want to be great. They want to do better. You see them. They send the officers to training. They make them do certain things. And they will avoid the hoopla of attorneys because they know attorneys come in there with the media hoping to get something stirred up that they know they can't sustain. Because, you can only stay mad for so long. Then you're going to get sleepy. Then something else is going to happen to make you refocus. So when we're dealing with the politics of it, and I keep telling people, we all upset with 45. Most of us can't stand it. But we have problems locally. You look at all the Republican states that did away with abortion. That's a problem for our women. We got to look at these things. We can't just be so concerned about what's going on in D.C. that we forget about what's happening in South Carolina, what's happening in Georgia. These are the things that they do, again, to make us unfocused. When we look at the police reform, and I put up some things that could be done, when I started talking about the citizen review boards, a lot of police chiefs do not want a citizen review board because they don't want you looking at them. Then there's some there are a couple of agencies where they're mandatory. And they send the citizens through the police academy so they'll know what the police has been trying to do. Those are good. That's a good process for the whole community. Because now you understand why they did this. Now when you see stuff, you say, oh, I get that now. I get that. But if you're just looking from the outside and you've never seen it, I don't know whose page I was on, but somebody was like, yeah, well, why don't they shoot people in the leg? Clearly, you've never shot a gun. It's hard enough hitting a regular target. Trying to hit somebody in the leg, let that TV shit go. Well, my uncle was a cop. That's what they trained for. I'm going to tell you to your face on Facebook, you're a liar. And if your uncle told you that, he's a liar. SWAT don't even train like that. It doesn't make sense, but you got people who will say things because they know people, kind of like those infamous letters. My uncle snuck and told me something that I can't, whatever. I'm retired now. I can speak as free as I want to. I got a call the other day. Somebody asked me if I wanted to come back. And I was like, nah, unless you just want me as a consultant. But I don't want to come back to a point where I can't answer questions honestly. Where when you ask me something, I got to sit here and tell you something to cover me. Have I made mistakes in my career? Absolutely. Some of them were just super dumb. And I made myself become a better trained officer because I needed to know certain things. When I teach at the academy, I write on my little note, because I teach notes on everybody, does not meet law enforcement criteria. They banned me from teaching at the academy. They're like, why you put that? Because this person should never be a cop, ever. Why are you saying that? I had one student that no matter what I did, she pulled a gun out and shot me. Every scenario she shot me. Every scenario. Why you shoot me? Know her reason was? Ain't nobody gonna call me no bitch. She's a lieutenant now. But her mentality, anybody who called her bitch, she was willing to shoot. You at the academy, you know don't mean you no harm, but just hearing that word makes you violent. Oh no, I ain't violent, I'm just gonna shoot you and get it over with. Wow. But she had friends. Cause I put it in her folder. They can take it how they want to, because I got my folder. So if something happens and they go to her training records, because they'll sue me for training her badly, I keep records on, especially bad officers. Anybody who I think got a problem, no. Well, you shouldn't say that. You know what you talking about earlier? See, there's a thing called instructor liability. If I teach somebody something bad, I can be sued. I keep meticulous notes about students. If you're a city student, oh, you got 3 or 4 pages. They don't want that. You know, we got to hire 100 people. Just give them a break. Give them a break. Why? But these are the things that we do, and we get so caught up. Like I said, it's so much emotional that people play on our emotions, and that's where we get confused. Most people don't want to listen to the reality behind why things have to happen a certain way, why they have to happen like this. Well, unfortunately, sometimes people got to get shot. Because if you ain't been trained and somebody is naked running at you with a knife, what do you do? And if we're honest, what do the streets say? If somebody break my house, I'm shooting. Look, that ain't what the law say. The law don't say you can shoot them just because they broke on your house. They got to be doing something, specifically coming towards you. There was a lady that shot a guy. Everybody was upset. He actually broke in the house, fell asleep on the sofa. She went to jail for murder. Oh, he broke in her house. Well, in the subdivision they stayed, all the houses look alike. He went to the wrong house. Fell asleep. I'm listening. She came down the hallway, saw him sleeping, went back, got her gun, came back, shot him. He kicked the door down. His key was in it. So he drunk enough to think his key don't work. So he kicked the door. I get it. The law says what the law says. You got, I want to say it was Pittsburgh. I'm gonna use you again, Fu, because I like you, because Fu stole a car. I chased Fu. We in a dark alley.
I don't appreciate that. I'm from New York. I don't appreciate that. I'm from New York. I feel stereotyped.
Yeah, you stereotype. So Fu hits a dead end. Fu turns around and shoots at me. I shoot back. I hit Fu. Fu dies. You know what the law says? The law says I committed a crime. Because the policy says I committed a crime. And I tell people, this is where you got to look at so many things, because they ask me, it's like, what do you think? We call it a good shoot. It's not a good shoot. Well, the man shot at him first. I said, yeah, and you're right. The man shot at him first, which is why it ain't murder, because that's what the law says. But your policy says that anytime you're chasing anybody who's a felon, a felonious crime, you need a backup officer. So when he started chasing Fu and he didn't call for assistance, everything after that he did was dead wrong. Had he waited for backup, the situation might have changed. Fu would have never had a chance to shoot him had he not cornered Fu. This is what your policy says. But what about the shooting? I say, you keep jumping to the end of the story. You got to stay right here at the beginning. The beginning is we think Fu committed a crime. We think Fu committed a felony. Your policy strictly says when you're trying to make a felony stop, you need a minimum of 2 officers. Your officer made a felony stop with 1 officer. He engaged a felon with 1 person. Your policy says this cannot happen. That's what he did. Lord, thank you, but we don't need you no more. And he ended up getting fired. And I want to say he got charged with negligent homicide. But you know, you got to know what you're looking at and understand the dynamics, because there are officers, and I was telling somebody, even in Georgia, we've had officers go to jail for doing crazy shit. The Neal Street boys, I don't think they got charged with murder, because it wasn't murder, but everything they did was negligent. And because of the way some of the negligence set up, the warrant was legit, the information in it wasn't. And I forgot what they got charged with, but they went to jail. The DeKalb County officer that was killing homeless people, That was murder. I think he was the only one who's been in jail for murder. I don't know if y'all remember that. Because, see, those are normally kept quiet. But there was a DeKalb County officer who was, I won't say he was a police officer. He was taking homeless people to Conyers and killing them and dumping them fields. And the lady called the cops one day and she says, why is the DeKalb County officer in my yard? I stay in, what's the next county over? He was in the next county. And that's how they called him. Prison. But you didn't hear much about it because they don't want to publicize those. So we got to look at what agencies actually want reform, what agencies actually going to do something about it, versus what agencies just want you to sit there and hem and haw. When AP did everything they did, the biggest issue I had with APD and Keisha Bottoms, she conducted trial on TV. It's not your job. You're the mayor. You're not the judge. Suspend them, do the investigation. In 2 years, they'll be back with a hell of a pay raise because everything that was done to them was illegal. And once you do that, they become untouchable. So then what? So when we try to make reform, we got to look at it from a logical way. And as you say, with doing investigations, we have to look at who's related to who. The one with Arbery, where all those people are interrelated, they all in the same circle, passing judgment. Oh no, we're not going to indict him. He was a good investigator. He should have never been part of that case. He should have known to take himself out, but he didn't. And initially, it wasn't challenged. Had the videos not been released, what would we be today? And even with the video being released, they're still not talking about charging the DA, who should be charged because he was complicit in the crime, and other people. And those are the things that we have to look at and speak from intelligence to let them know that we're paying attention. Because if they think that we're just emotional, they're going to just wait us out. They're going to wait for us to go to sleep. They're going to wait for the next killing to happen, and we're going to move on and forget about the last one, which is why we have to be standardized, and we have to set up teams. When a killing happens, fool, you got this one, Jermaine got the next one, I got this one. That way we can all stay focused on one task. Because if you keep trying to bounce from Brianna to George to Ahmad, you can't focus on all that, and you're going to get tired, and you're going to get reckless. And you at some point, you're going to become numb to it. And every time I see people say, oh, I ain't surprised by this, this is why they can do this to us, because we're not surprised by it. We're not surprised. So why give you something if you ain't gonna be? Why do anything different?
Well, the crazy thing about you saying that, and I had said earlier, I would never condone the eye for an eye type of thing with what's going on. But to me personally, I would love, and I swear to God, I would love it. And I'm not afraid to say this on camera. If they come after me, it is what it is. These cops out here that's doing this shit, and it goes up the line, like you said, whether it's the prosecutor, whether it's the judge, all that shit. I would love just for one of them to get their ass whooped. And I mean, I'm being real. Because if a motherfucker get their ass whooped and they know the reason why, they don't want it to happen again. And that, to me, that goes to us being children. When we get disciplined for doing something we ain't supposed to do, we tend not to do it again, or we tend to not get caught. So we won't get that fucking response. That's my opinion. Because that cop that did the shit to George Floyd, if he got fucked up, and I ain't talking about no just one punch in the face. Nah. If he gets fucked up, and whoever whooping his ass is saying, we gonna whoop your ass for old and for new for what you did to George Floyd, I guarantee you he wouldn't do that shit again. I guarantee you. Without question. Because, once again, there's a consequence. Ain't no consequences right now.
And again, I'm not gonna ever advocate violence because it's wrong. But think about this, and I said this at the time. For all those thugs and gangsters George Zimmerman walked around the streets, let everybody know he was going to be. Who did anything to
Yep.
him? We talk a
Yep.
good game. It took a white guy in a bar to punch George Zimmerman in the mouth, because all of us, and I tell people, you know, there's a lot of things that we blame on other stuff, but at some point, I'm more apt to hit you than somebody who I don't know nothing about, because I'm afraid of them. And I mean, I'm like, damn, George is just everywhere. He Facebooking, he talking trash. Everybody know where he at. Where are all these people who swore they would go to jail? Where are they?
But
Florida ain't
it
got
goes
no game breakers.
but it goes to show, and I said this on the show last night. Everybody ain't gonna be able to go where we gonna go, because you gotta have you gotta be willing to sacrifice something. So all these gangsters, they ain't willing to sacrifice the consequences it was gonna take to really do something to George Zimmerman, because they know it's gonna be a consequence behind it. See, the white dude, he like, all right, cool, whatever. I'm white. I got the complexion for the connection. But they know, brothers know, they'll throw the book at him if they do something to George Zimmerman, because how publicized he is. So that's why ain't nothing happened to him, because
And
they scared of the repercussions.
Jermaine, I'm gonna call bullshit. You know why they ain't do nothing?
Huh?
Because they not about. I'm gonna call bullshit. They ain't do nothing because they ain't about their life. The only reason that white guy went to jail is because he stayed there. He stayed there and waited. He didn't walk off with no cameras in there. That's why you don't see it. You don't see no. Anybody could have hit him. He wasn't about that life. It's just simple battery. The bond is $1,000 at best. Ain't none of these game bangers. And I'm gonna just throw this in there because I don't like it no way. When you got Snoop throwing bounties out on the lady because she asked the wrong question, what they had with that money? Snoop a game banger. He ain't know nobody in Florida. He couldn't pay nobody's bond. See, we say a lot of stuff, but when the rubber hit the road, we a whole different group of people. We're a whole different group. See, I can say this, and I tell people all the time, yeah, I got a family, I got a job. It's certain stuff I'm just not willing to do. But you know what I also got? I got 4 phones. I ain't saying I ain't gonna never not make a phone call, but to sit back and be like, oh yeah, I am not finna set nothing on fire. No. My kid's not finna be homeless because I made a stupid choice, but I got 4 phones. But all these people talking about what they gonna do, but we'll kill each other for some Jordans. How many times we done kill people and did a Facebook Live? So you mean to tell me these people scared of doing that? So no, I'm gonna call BS on that. We talk a good game. Everybody want to be a cyber thug. Everybody. Oh, you know, I don't had like 6 threats on Facebook. What people gonna come do to me? Cause that's something I said. Well, I tell you what, I will help pay for a ticket. Cause I want to see what you got. Cause I don't believe you're gonna come to my hometown and threaten me. Cause see, now I know what the law say. The law say you don't threaten to hurt me. So when you show up, it ain't even finna be nothing. Cause if you don't get out the plane with guns in your hand, you finna lose this one. Cause I ain't gotta wait for nothing. I ain't gotta wait for nothing. I got this on Facebook now. You threatening to hurt me, kill me and my family. Whether you was playing or not, hey, but this is what we do. And I look at people.
I mean, that is crazy. That is crazy with what you just said when you really honestly and when you honestly and truly think about it. For all the bullshit that has happened and motherfuckers fighting in McDonald's, like motherfuckers getting dragged in McDonald's, outside the gas station, all types of just dumb shit. And you not willing to, fam. I'm 43 years old. I can't say what I'd do if I see George Zimmerman. I'm dead serious. I know. I sitting here thinking about it. I don't know. But, and me and Jermaine have talked about this. What I will do, and I don't care about the consequences, if I see somebody getting mauled by police, a bunch of cops on top of one person, I'm not recording. I'm going over there and I'm grabbing the motherfucker off of him. If y'all want to arrest him, cool. Y'all ain't got to do all that. Fuck that. And I'll just deal with it. Whatever's going to happen to me is going to happen to me, because I can't do that. And I know you are a former officer. You can say what's going to happen. I'm willing to deal with that consequence because for me, it's not right for me to watch you do that and stand there. I'm not gonna swing. But I'm gonna grab you to get you off of him because there's no need for 6 motherfuckers to be on one and do weigh 150. Get the fuck out of here. Nah, that's not happening. That's not happening while I'm there.
You got my phone number. You gonna call me? You gonna say, B, what's up? I'm gonna say what the law says. The law says you have a duty to stop them. That's what the law says. See, that's why when people talk about what they will and won't do, the law, when the whole George Floyd thing, the law said those people could have charged the police because they have a duty. You're seeing a crime in progress. You have a duty to stop that crime. Ain't nothing the police can do because you see a crime being committed. You hear a man saying he can't breathe, which tells you he is dying. So if you commit the appropriate response, and all you got to do, because I watched that video several times and I was sickened by the people standing there watching and filming. Ain't now one of y'all felt the need. Oh, well, hold on. One guy had his hands in his pocket. Well, 2 guys had their hand in the pocket. The other guy was just standing there. Didn't nobody have their hand on their pistol. Didn't nobody have their pistol out. All y'all was just cowards. You heard that girl saying something. Could not one of y'all just go push him off? Oh, that's assault. So at the end of the day, if we using brass tacks, apples to apples and oranges to oranges, would you rather go to jail for assault or would you rather stand there and watch a man die in front of you?
Thank you.
See, that's a different, to me, that's a different kind of coward. That's a different kind of coward. Because you saying what you just said, not you, but what them people just said was, you know what, that man's life ain't worth $1,000 because I'm not willing to pay $1,000 bond to save a life. So look at what we put out there. We did this in front of you and you didn't do nothing. And what do the thugs always say? Oh, come to our neighborhood and do it. They doing it in our neighborhood. They doing it. And what are we doing? We videoing it. We videoing it.
Yep.
You ain't helping. And I get when a woman video it. She should. And let she Shaquisha from around the way. If she take that wig off, she's supposed to do what she's supposed to do. But we talk, and that's what I was saying, Jermaine. We talk a good game about what we'll do.
Yeah.
But all we want to do
smoke a bag
is
of
stuff
that.
with
I agree with
proximity. We want to do something to people who we know. I'm gonna hit Fu because I know Fu ain't gonna try to kill me. He's just gonna be mad at me. But the dude I don't know, I ain't gonna be as quick to hit him because I don't know what his level of pissed off is. And we sit back. We sit back and we watch, and we come back on Facebook and say, oh, if I'd have been there, if you'd have been there, what? You went Facebook Live because that's what we love to do. We do shit for the likes. I'm watching all the time. Every time we see a good fight, every time we see a woman getting jumped, I ain't gonna change too much. We hear a guy giving a narrative. We hear a guy giving a narrative when our women are getting jumped. Right. Why is that? Mm-hmm. Why is that? Oh, I ain't finna get in their love. Because we ain't finna get, we like fussing and fighting. And, you know, there's a way to do everything. That's why I said, you know, somebody asked me what would happen had he charged the police. Well, the law is clear. The law says that's what you're supposed to do. If you see a crime happening and somebody's in risk of losing their life, you got the right to shoot them. You have the right. They don't have to have a gun. If you see me choking fool, you can shoot me. You ain't got to wait for me to get a gun. Fool is losing his life. That means we at deadly force. So when people keep talking about what they know and what they gonna do, well, why you didn't do this? Because we all swear we got guns now. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for war. Dude, if all you got is a gun and 8 rounds, you're not ready for war. What you ready for is to rob your neighbor. What you ready for is to hit the dude at the bus stop. You ain't ready for war. But we have to be better equipped, because what I want us to do, I want us to stand up to the police. I want us to stand up and be right. I want us to go to the chief's office. I want us to go to the sheriff's office and stand there and be right where they can't avoid us. But we're not talking in terms of angry citizens. We're talking in terms of educated voters. We will get you up out of here. How much did you pay last year in an assault case? How many times y'all beat up inmates that have to pay? How much is that? Why you got this? How much did y'all pay for these things? Let me see the budget. So when you ask for this $20 million, how much of that is going to subsidize why my taxes going up? Because these lawsuits come out of insurance. The insurance cost is passed on to taxpayers. So, but they won't tell us that because we don't ask. So what the Kentucky get 12 million. Watch them home values start going up because they got to get that money from somewhere to recoup that. That ain't coming from, as you was talking about the liability insurance. That ain't coming from the chief who allowed it to go on. That ain't coming from the mayor who allowed it to go on. That's gonna come from a city fund. See, so the people who need the biggest insurance are the policy makers and changers. If you ain't doing your job, you need to pay a cost. You shouldn't apply for this job if all you wanted was the perks and you want to get your retirement and you want to get your retirement pay up, because you're not coming in here cleaning house. You're not even affecting crime. As much as people don't like the dude in Clayton County, the short dude, the sheriff, dude is a beast on crime. You know what I'm talking about? And you live out here with me in Douglas County. Crime don't even really exist out here like that.
Nope.
Douglas County don't play like that. I mean, it just shit. A murder in Douglas County is world news. I remember when I first came out here, they shot a guy at the Kroger on Highway 5 for writing a bad check. They killed him because he tried to escape. And the sheriff had a policy that if you commit a crime in Douglas County, you get tried in Douglas County. They policy was don't let nobody leave Douglas County. I remember that because I wouldn't drive at night.
I'm about to fuck both of y'all up. Especially you, D. You remember about 7 or 8 years ago, white man got stabbed by that big black woman. She was real fat or whatever. Got murdered in his house or something like that. You don't remember that?
What, in Douglas County?
Yes, in Douglasville. It was a case.
Nah.
The lady was crazy. She was going crazy in court and everything like that, screaming in court, all types of shit. Bruh, it happened across the street from my house. Literally, I can look at the house right now. The cops came here. When I say this shit, y'all both gonna be bugging the fuck out. Cops came here, took me to the station. They had to question me. They took a footprint because I guess the footprint of blood or whatever. So they asked me these dumbass questions. Now, mind you, y'all know, well, Jermaine knows, I don't switch up. Mr. Fitz, did you know I ain't never seen nobody or talked to nobody in that house day in my life? I don't know who the fuck you talk about. This is exactly how I'm talking to them. Well, we have to ask you one more question. Did you murder? I don't know who that person is, so I ain't murder no motherfucking body. Can I go home, please? Basically, get the fuck out of my face. Because I get it. I get that that's what you're supposed to do. But that's why I was like, damn, so this is what happens when they interrogate motherfuckers. But they was light on me because I think they probably even knew we need to get this crazy ass motherfucker out of here because he don't give a fuck and he ain't do shit. We know he ain't do shit. But when you don't have that mentality, when you don't kind of know shit, they can get over. And I get it. But for the shit to be so close, I'm telling y'all, if I go look out my window right there, literally right there, I can see the house where it happened. This bitch had to be all bigger than all three of us. She probably was about 6'1". Well, my bad, Jermaine. I think Jermaine's 6'1". My bad. She's about 6 feet plus. She had to be 350, maybe.
Oof. And
killed the white man. So I was saying, was they fucking? Because you just don't walk up in nobody's house, and they said they was kind of. It was. You gotta look at the story. Look at the story of murder in Douglasville, Georgia, whatever. I guarantee you're gonna see it. You can see the clips. It was on the news tonight.
And I think I do remember now. I do. Was he a jogger or something? Why was it? Because I want to say I remember.
Oh, white dude happened in his house. Yeah. Look, when you look it up, look that shit up. Just know, damn, the address should say Chattahoochee Drive. I'm 3798. That shit was probably what 3797. I don't know, but it's across the goddamn street. That's why when you said that, he right. Jermaine, you live in what? Aiken or outside of Aiken? Do shit really be popping off there?
Yep.
Oh shit! See, you better.
Oh yeah. South Carolina becoming a major city. It's becoming a major metropolis. It ain't this country like we used to think it was.
It used to. it used to be the retirement capital of the United States. Now, man, you got shootings every other night,
Yeah,
every other
it's the new
week.
little rock.
Somebody
It's the new little rock. Quiet as kept. They offer
So
you a
you
job,
so
and
you so you back in Brooklyn?
Nah, that's in Aiken. I live in North Augusta. I live over this way.
No, that's
That's
what I'm
over that
saying.
way.
In North Augusta, it ain't popping off like that. You good?
Nah,
Okay.
it's pretty quiet.
But Aiken
but yeah, I
remind
mean,
you of Brooklyn.
it's getting there. But yeah, I mean,
Yep.
but and like I'm saying, and this is why I like doing these shows, and I need more people because I can talk, but I need to know what people want to know, and I need to know what their mind, their thought process, is, so I can show them, hey, I get what you're saying, because hey, I'm still a black man and I'm a citizen. I just been on the other side, so I learned to speak a different language when I'm talking. When I need to get a point across legally, I have to speak that language, and I have to impress upon people to speak that same language. When I did my show, I did a show on search on the whole stop and frisk. I got police mad with me, but I know what the law says. And people say, police pull you over and say, I need to pat you down for your safety and my safety, yada, yada, yada. And that's all BS. That ain't what the law say. The law says you have to believe I'm armed first, which you can get away with. But second and most importantly, you have to believe I'm involved in a crime. So if you don't think I'm involved in a crime, brother, don't touch me. So you can't just do it for your safety. That ain't in no situation, nowhere. When you hear cops saying they shot somebody because they was in fear of their life, I'm here to tell you that in and of itself is an illegal statement. That is not a requirement for shooting. Fool, you and Jermaine can shoot somebody because y'all in fear of y'all life. Y'all are public citizens, have never been trained. I don't care how scared I get. The fact that I've been to the police academy now, I can never shoot somebody because I'm scared. I gotta have three and a half things going before I can pull a gun on them. But
I want to ask you a question because I know it's
ask
coming
me a
up
question.
on 8 o'clock and we almost done. But I want to ask you a question based on you being law enforcement because I asked a friend of mine who was the CEO of this, and I still can't believe he said what he said because we close. Let's use the example in Minnesota when they burned down that motherfucking police station, right? And there was protesters out there. If you were out there as a police officer and you got your fellow officers next to you or whatever, and you see you got the protesters, what would you do personally if one of those officers cracked your fucking nephew across the head? If you were standing right there and he just went over there, bow, what would you do?
Well, let me help you out. See, it ain't even got to be my nephew. Understand? And I told you, as a
No,
trainer, I
no, no,
know.
no.
No,
I'm
because
asking this specifically for a reason. If it was somebody, a blood relative, somebody who you truly, truly care about,
right,
in that instance, at that particular moment, what would you do?
I'm gonna disable him,
You're gonna disable who?
the officer.
And what do you mean disable? Well, explain to me what you mean by disable.
I need to look at how he did it, and according to what I teach, because I ain't gonna come out of character because I know the big picture. I'm gonna go one step above where he did to stop him. Because if I don't, the law says I'm complicit. See, by law, officers have a duty. They have a responsibility. Anytime they see an officer doing something wrong, they have to stop it. Well, they have to do something to intervene. Remember in California when it happened with Rodney King? The woman went back to her laptop and called for another supervisor. She didn't have to fight them, but she got to do something to render aid. She ain't got to put her life in risk. So if let's just say the guy is as big as this woman and I can't beat him, all I got to do is do something to try to stop it, whether it's something physical or by calling for some more help. So the fact, and that's why I was like, the fact that it's a blood relative really don't mean a whole lot because I'm a bigger picture kind of guy all the time. I prepare for worst case scenarios, so I know what I need to do. So if I see this, then this ain't the first thing I'm thinking. I'm thinking, I'm gonna look at it and make sure, it ain't a death blow, but I'm thinking long term and money. Because I can get payback. And as somebody told me, I ain't a Christian, but the one value I got is I got patience. If it take me 4 or 5 years to get you back, I will. I don't have to get you in the moment. But that's just one of my little things.
The reason I asked
But
you that, because I asked my close friend that, and he said, I asked him what if he did it to his wife. He actually said she shouldn't have been out there. Now that's one person. That's one person. I asked my prom date, who's a sheriff in Jersey. I said, what if this cop cracked Wanda across the head, which is her sister? She was like, I'm not a sheriff no more. Those are the exact words. I'm not a sheriff no more because that's my motherfucking sister. So I heard one extreme, the other extreme, and then I heard the middle, which is what I appreciate. Because you didn't just, like, mind you didn't say you was just going to sit there. You also didn't say, I'm going to lose my job. But you did say, I'm going to disable. So in other words, you're going to do something. That for me is just clarity, because that makes me feel better to know I'm not crazy. Because I still can't believe he said that shit. I was like, what? You let a motherfucker crack open.
And the thing is one, and it's because I hate when people go to trends about who ass they gonna pick, because it takes adrenaline to get that going. But people always swear they're gonna do something, and a lot of times you don't know what you're gonna do till it happens. Unfortunately, I've been in situations like that, and people are like, how you remain calm? One, and this is anybody who ever been in one of my classes that teach you, everything I prepare you for is worst case scenario. Because if you can make it through worst case scenario, everything else is easy. What is the worst thing that can happen? When I teach them drills where they get hurt, the first thing I do, like, you right-handed or left-handed?
Me?
Yeah.
Right-handed.
First thing I'm gonna do on one of my drills is make you put your right hand in your pocket. Now I'm gonna make you draw your weapon and get a good shot off. Because you need to do that. You know, we practice all this little pretty stuff under nice, serene circumstances. That's cute. It's not realistic. So when you show me that you have a propensity to be a good officer, I'm gonna start putting you through the paces. I need for you to learn to be a good officer under extreme circumstances. I need for you to know what it's like when I'm pushing the envelope. So when I do my training, that's all I'm training for. No, I don't need to train to talk the church later off the bus. That ain't that hard. I need to train somebody who when they get angry, what am I gonna do? Can I still remain cool and calm and collected? Even though in my head, I'm stabbing everybody. But I know I gotta maintain the professionalism because I want to win the war. I don't need the battle right now. Because let's just say I do what one of your friends said, and I start cracking them across the head. Now other officers got to take care of me because they see me assaulting an officer. So now I'm disabling me at risk. I'm putting my income at risk, and I just put my family member at more risk. Because now that we're on the bottom of the ground, we're getting stomped by everybody. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. But for me to give a quick little shot, and if I have to use that baton to snatch them back and whisper in their ear, that's all we're going to do. And we've had these situations before. And he's like, hey, they was doing this. No. All that lady did, she said something nasty to him. She didn't deserve to get hit for that. She said something nasty to all of us. Who ain't been called a nasty name before? You're a cop. What you do get paid for is to be called names. Because truth be told, if I'm locking you up, because you already said I got discretion, when I'm locking you up, what am I truly? Truly being a bitch. I have to accept that because I could have let you go. So why am I upset that you called me a bitch? I've been called nigga before, so why is that upsetting me? So, and that's one of the things, when I'm looking at these people who get upset over simple things, to me, they already don't fit the criteria. Because the bulk of my day is an easy day. The bulk of my career was an easy career. I did it for 22 years, but I could probably give you 2 years of true hardship where I had to earn my money and work for a living. Them 2 years was light for it. But I still had to maintain a certain amount of professionalism to get through it. Like I said, and I told you I made some mistakes. The lady who stabbed me, after she stabbed me, I unleashed hell. But before that, I was trying to be a professional. When I felt that knife hit me, see, there's no more, verbal commands. There's no more working my way up the ladder to weapons. Only thing that saved her is that I still like to fight because I should have shot her because she stabbed me. But I was good with knives and knife defense. But she got 2 cans of whoop ass. And they were ready to fire me because nobody saw her stab me. So until the paramedics got there and they was patching me up saying, do you want to go to the hospital? I had a lieutenant yelling at me about I was going to jail, about what he was going to do to me. But he never once said, why'd you hit her? He never asked me why I hit her. And I wasn't violent by nature, but he saw me jumping on the woman. He knew I was a fighter. And he, you know, in his mind, I just wanted to fight.
I got a question for you. I know we almost done, bro. And this is based on the numbers and statistics. You said you were a cop for 22 years, right?
Yes, sir.
How many times did you actually fire your weapon?
Outside of training? None.
In the act, now, you know, it's amazing. It truly is amazing how you just proved that statistic right. Because I've heard it. Usually an officer fires his weapon like once or something like that when they're cops. That's why it amazes me how people don't pay attention to stats and numbers, because numbers don't lie. It's crazy when you know that stat, but then you'll have officers who be involved in multiple shootings. That should be saying something. And I understand that there's different situations. You might have a narcotics cop. I get all of that. I totally get it, because some of them are probably going to.
I did narcotics for 12 years.
So you just proved that. That's what I'm saying, yo. This is crazy. That's why I said this is knowledgeable for me.
What you got before we have to go, bro? I'm gonna get you. But what you got is, and this is one of my training points. Most cops, if you go again, ask your friend, ask cops how many of them been in fights. But you know what they don't train for on a regular basis? They don't train to fight. See, I took fighting classes twice a year for probably 15 years. Different fighting styles, different fighting techniques, because more cops will get into a hand-to-hand confrontation simply from trying to handcuff people. But they don't want to do it because it requires them to be in shape. See, as you see, most cops, the longer they stay, the chubbier they get, the more out of shape they get. And the last thing they want to do is a physical fitness class, which is one of the things I try to push police to. Hey, if these guys can't fight, you don't have when you can't fight, you're more prone to shoot. If you ain't had that experience where you're tired, either one of you guys ever played sports? The top athletes, when they get tired, that second wind come in and they good. The other athlete, once he get tired, he want to sit. That top athlete knowing how to regulate that. So he ain't letting the tiredness get him down. He knows how to start pacing himself so that he can do this. But when you don't know and you ain't ever had it, and I'm watching because I'm training them. I'm fighting 40 people a day when I teach a class because it's 40 students. I'm holding up. Y'all tired. Y'all took turns fighting me. I got a 20-second break between all of y'all, and this is what I'm at. This is where I am. This is where you got to be. You got to be. But they don't want it because they get comfortable. People start liking them. Again, you get into the politics. But a girl who wanted to shoot me all the time, that's the norm that people don't want to hear about. When you look at a cop, I can't run fast, but I can chase you for 3 miles. I don't know too many people who can outrun me in 3 miles. And as long as you don't run in a straight line, I got you. Now, if you can run, I'm going to get in the car and chase you. But if we going through some woods and stuff and you can't run straight, I got you. I got you because I got the wind for it. But yeah, if we doing a 100-yard dash, I caught a little 17-year-old because he tried to jump a fence. He wasn't but 5'4". I knew you ain't finna jump that fence, but that fence 7.5 feet high. You ain't finna jump that little fence, Chubby. So I was just pacing, hit that fence and got caught. And I just looked at him. I said, how you feel to get caught by an old man? I said, how am I supposed to get you down? Because I'm not going to catch you. So I'm going to push you, let you fall, and then we're going to go from there. But, you know, it's part of the whole training thing that we don't want to do, and we don't want to address the fact that more stuff is hand-to-hand. So once I learn to put my hands on you, that take away a lot. You know what you're going to do, fool? What you're going to do, Jermaine? When I can put my hands on you to get you to understand what's going on, you are less likely to keep doing stuff. You know, it's crazy. I watch my people. When you don't go for that gun first and you try to explain to them what's going to happen, and if I tell you, hey, this is what's going to happen, if you resist, I learned this from my dad. He was a cop too. Listen, sir, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go to jail. If you resist, you're going to make me hit you one time real hard, bro. I don't want to have to do that. And you know what most people say? They just look at me like I'm crazy, but they turn around. Because I ain't going to threaten to shoot them. I ain't going to put my hand on my gun. I'm just letting them know it's going to be a price to pay for this resistance. You can go to jail and bond out tomorrow, or you can try to fight me, and you're going to incur a lot of pain. And I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy this. And most of them, they give me that hood respect, and they go on and turn around. But again, we got to push training. We got to stop letting these activists tell us stuff that ain't true. We need more your girl, because I was hoping she was gonna show up. We need them to tell us what's real, what we should realistically hope for when the charges come. We may not like the charges, but it's a start. We don't get nowhere if everybody keep getting off. We ain't gonna even get that baby step. But getting officers convicted little by little will start changing, because now they got to pay attention. Because you know what cops don't want to do more than anything else? They do not want to go to jail. They don't mind paying fines because they can get another job. But going to jail is a whole different animal. When you start threatening them with that, their mindset changes. They don't want to be that. They're not street criminals. So we got to change the process, but we got to change who we follow, who we listen to, and what we promote. We got to tell people that even though we don't like the stuff that happened with Breonna Taylor, the officer who took out that search warrant that put all them other officers at risk with bad information, that's who got to be on the front line, not the shooter. Shooter was still wrong, but had the shooter not been given bad information and put in that situation, would he have ever existed?
I'm gonna say something about that, and I don't think y'all know. I could be wrong, but this is what I saw. I didn't see everything on the news with the Breonna Taylor stuff. I only saw like little breaking news because I was outside. I was outside of a gym and I saw it. Somebody posted on Facebook, the one cop who's indicted, he's not indicted for killing Breonna Taylor. He's indicted for the bullets that he shot going into somebody else's apartment.
Yo, wanton endangerment.
Yo, I was like, damn.
And again, I don't know what Kentucky says. Do they have negligent homicide? Do they have involuntary manslaughter? See, I ain't looked at Kentucky laws like that yet, but those are what it will fall under if he was in Georgia. But again, the onus would be on the whoever did the warrant, because if had it not been for him, none of this would have happened. We can't keep going to the end of the story. We got to start in the beginning and stay in the middle. Quit jumping here. What got us here? And that's who you got to blame. When I did a bad search warrant, no matter, we go do a search warrant, Jermaine stole $1,000. Well, Jermaine couldn't have stole that $1,000 if DVP didn't do a bad warrant. So Jermaine may be a bad apple, but everything is DVP's fault, because I got him there when he should have never been there. And that's the arrangement we got to look at. That's why that big picture is so hard for us to see a lot of times. And that's what we got to do. And like I said, when I do these, I'm gonna have you guys back. And that's why I let people ask me questions, because like I said, I'm gonna check out Kentucky Law and read some more stuff to see exactly where they are. But even with the girl in Dallas, I mean, I think they could have pushed a little bit harder, because she didn't do some things that she should have been doing, but the attorneys never said anything. See, I'm gonna say this before we close. Jermaine, I can come to Jermaine's house, be in the wrong house, see Jermaine and think Jermaine is in my house. I'm gonna give her that, because they said all these little complexes look alike. But once I shoot Jermaine and I realize I'm in the wrong place, you know what I'm supposed to do? I should have been on my radio calling for backup. I should have been on my radio calling for an ambulance. Not on my phone calling my girlfriend, asking what should I do? Right. Because I'm a cop. I've been trained. When you shoot somebody, you know what you do after you shoot them? You handcuff them, you call for an ambulance. That's the policy. She didn't follow no policy. Who shoots somebody and make a phone call? You got a radio, you had your gun belt with you. I'm looking at this. But it was never brought up what she was trained to do. So they mad at the judge for doing stuff, but they should have been mad at the defense attorney. Why didn't you bring up what she was trained to do? That was her negligence. She dropped all of her training, and she claimed she was in police mode. So if you were in police mode, that's what you should have done. If I come on with my door open, I ain't a cop no more. But if I just got to work with my door open, I'm pulling out my gun. I'm going to come to the door, holler. I'm going to take 2 steps back. I'm going to call radio and say, radio stars from you. So I think I got a break in. Am I going to wait I don't know. Ain't that good. But I might not, depend on what I hear. If I hear my wife or kids screaming, no, ain't no more waiting. But if I don't hear nothing, I might go on ahead and wait for another car because I can wait them out. But that's what the training says. I can't shoot Jermaine, realize I'm in the wrong house, and then just sit there and look at him and call my girlfriend, who also in the department, and say, "Hey, babe, I think I just killed a dude who was eating ice cream. What you think?"
Yeah,
And that's what
because
she did.
had she did what you said to do, she would have walked back and noticed that wasn't her apartment.
But had she just called for an ambulance, he might not have died. She didn't do none of what she was trained to do. She ain't got to step back and look at the apartment, Jermaine. When you walk in the house, you know what your furniture look like. You know that sofa ain't yours. You know that TV ain't
Right.
yours. So, like I said, even if you tired and his door just happened to be open, if your door just happened to be open, you live in an apartment complex, that's a double red flag. You know, you open it and holler, "Who in here?" Because it might be maintenance. But after that, you get on your radio. That's what you're trying to do. And again, the attorney never attacked her training. So the judge didn't have to consider it. The jury didn't have to consider it. So now you got second degree murder. I think that's what they got, and nothing else. No extenuating circumstances. She should have got way more time just because she failed to be a police when she claimed she was a police when it all happened. See, she didn't qualify for qualified immunity at that point because she was acting reckless. But it was never challenged. And I'm just a retired cop. I ain't never been to law school. What do I know? But it's 8:10. I don't want my producer sending me nasty messages. I want to thank you guys. Hey, if y'all want people to follow y'all, just know now, if you follow Fool, make sure you don't let your kids look at his page because he like this all the time. he hell on wheels. I mess around. I don't know how we got to be friends because I'm scared of him. But, you know, we're going to get together. We're going to hang out across the street from each other and just wave and send each other a message because I ain't old enough to hang out with Fool. But Fool, tell them how they can find you or follow you or you know, what's going on with you.
On Facebook, the name is Jerome Fitz. The profile picture is my grandmother and my uncle. And the background picture, it says royalty. That's how you know it's me because it's a few pages that's like that. And that's really where I do most of my commentary per se. So feel free to jump on. Check me out, and I always want feedback, good, bad, or indifferent.
And I will give him credit. He good for that. You know, I done said some things I know he didn't care for, but the brother listen, he take it in, and then he come back and we go from there. And those are the conversations I like. And we should be exchanging information, not you just taking everything and jumping on the bandwagon. Jermaine, what you got going?
Yeah, you can follow me on Jermaine Vining on Facebook. I got a t-shirt line. It's called Rich State of Mind Clothing, rsm.com, rsmclothing.com. Also RSM 1978 on Facebook and Instagram.
Make sure you shoot me that, man, because, you know, if I'd have knew that, I would have made you a sponsor for today's show. And, of course, I'm your host. if you ain't got one of these glasses from Little Things by Khalil, where you can be all flossy and jazzy, she got all different types. She bling them out. She got decanters. She got mugs. You name it, she can knock it out. So get you one of these. You don't have to say random thoughts about the EVP because then I'm going to think you're kind of creepy. But, you know, whatever you wanted to say, to say. All right? I want to thank
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me on. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Man.
Oh, y'all will be back. Jermaine, make sure you shoot me your phone number too. So, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know how this goes. We'll be back in 6 days and 22 hours and some change. I'm going to have something different for you. But until then, y'all know what it is. Peace, popcorn, and chicken grease. And I'm out.
We are back. For the first time in 62 years, the Florida Memorial Lions will hit the gridiron. And their home games will be streamed by the Black College Sports Network at www.fmuathletics.com, www.mybcsn.net, and on the MyBCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.